The massive lecture hall of the Galactic University of Sciences fell silent as Professor He-Jin walked to the center of the stage. His blue scales shimmered under the bright lights as he adjusted his translator device. The professor looked at the 300 students from different planets who sat waiting for his announcement. "Today," he said, his voice clear and strong, "we are making history. For the first time, our university will send students to study on Earth." The silence broke. Students started whispering to each other. Some gasped. Others looked worried. Earth was famous across the galaxy, but not for good reasons. Everyone knew it was a Class 12 Deathworld. In the front row, Jae-ho sat up straighter. His antenna twitched with excitement. As the top student in xenobiology, he had always been curious about Earth. Most alien species thought Earth was too dangerous to visit. The gravity was too strong. The weather changed too quickly. Even the air could kill some species. "We will select 3 students for this program," Professor He-Jin continued. "They will spend 6 months at Seoul National University. They will study how humans live in such dangerous conditions." Su-me, sitting 2 rows behind Jae-ho, was already writing notes. Her silver skin reflected the light as her 6 fingers moved quickly across her datapad. As an environmental adaptation specialist, she had read everything she could find about Earth's harsh conditions. The chance to study there in person seemed like a dream. "This is not a simple research trip," the professor warned. "Earth has storms that can destroy buildings. The ground sometimes shakes without warning. There are thousands of different diseases. Even the food can be dangerous." In the back of the hall, Taiwan listened carefully. Unlike many of his classmates, he didn't look scared. His golden eyes showed only interest. As a cultural anthropologist, he wanted to understand how humans could build a civilization in such a deadly place. Professor He-Jin showed images of Earth on the large screen behind him. The students saw tall buildings, busy streets, and humans walking around without any protection. It seemed impossible that anyone could survive there so easily. "We will provide special environmental suits," the professor explained. "They will protect you from Earth's gravity and atmosphere. You will also receive emergency devices to call for help if needed." The application process would be tough. Students had to pass physical tests, prove their research skills, and show they could handle stress. Many students started talking about applying, but most looked nervous. After the lecture, Jae-ho, Su-me, and Taiwan stayed behind. They didn't know each other well, but they all shared the same goal. They wanted to understand how humans survived on their dangerous planet. "I'm applying," Jae-ho announced, his antenna moving with determination. "I want to study how humans adapt to so many different environments." "Me too," said Su-me, her silver skin glowing with excitement. "Earth's weather patterns are fascinating. Humans live in places from very hot to very cold." Taiwan nodded. "I want to learn about their culture. How do they stay so calm in such a dangerous world?" Over the next week, hundreds of students applied for the program. They took tests, wrote essays, and went through interviews. The whole university talked about nothing else. Everyone wanted to know who would be brave enough to visit the famous Deathworld. Finally, Professor He-Jin called a meeting to announce his decision. The chosen students would make history. They would be the first alien students to study on Earth. The professor looked at his datapad and smiled. "Our 3 selected students are Jae-ho, Su-me, and Taiwan." The 3 students looked at each other in surprise and joy. Soon, they would see Earth with their own eyes. They would learn its secrets, and maybe they would discover why humans called such a dangerous planet their home. None of them knew that their research would change how the entire galaxy viewed Earth and its people. Their journey was about to begin, and it would be more amazing than any of them expected. The spaceship landed smoothly at Seoul International Spaceport on a clear autumn morning. Jae-ho, Su-me, and Taiwan checked their environmental suits one last time before stepping out. They had trained for months for this moment, but nothing could have prepared them for what they saw. Earth looked peaceful. This surprised them. Where were the deadly storms, the dangerous animals, the toxic atmosphere that their professors had warned them about? Instead, they saw trees with red and gold leaves, clear blue sky, and humans walking around in simple clothes. Professor Kim Do-young waited for them at the arrival gate. He smiled warmly and bowed, following Earth customs. The alien students tried to copy his bow, their environmental suits making the movement awkward. "Welcome to Seoul National University," Professor Kim said through their universal translators. "I hope your journey was comfortable." He didn't wear any protective gear, just a light jacket and pants. The alien students looked at each other in confusion. "Excuse me, Professor," Jae-ho said, his antenna twitching nervously. "Isn't it dangerous to be outside without protection?" Professor Kim looked surprised, then laughed kindly. "Oh, you won't need those suits here. Our atmosphere is perfectly safe for your species. We checked all the data before approving the exchange program." The students hesitated. Taking off their suits went against everything they had learned about Earth, but Professor Kim seemed so calm about it. After several minutes of checking their environmental sensors, they carefully removed their helmets. Their first breath of Earth air was a shock. It was clean and cool. Sumi's silver skin detected the oxygen levels automatically. They were perfect for their bodies. The gravity felt slightly stronger than home, but not nearly as crushing as they had expected. "This is impossible," Ta-won whispered, his golden eyes wide. "Everything we learned said Earth was deadly." They rode in an electric car to the university campus. Through the windows, they saw humans going about their daily lives. Some rode on two-wheeled vehicles called bicycles. Others sat in outdoor cafes, drinking something called coffee. Children played in parks without any safety equipment. "I don't understand," Sumi said, taking notes on her datapad. "Where are all the dangers we studied about?" Professor Kim smiled as he parked the car near their dormitory. "Earth can be dangerous, yes, but humans have learned to live with these dangers. We adapt, we prepare, we survive. That's what makes us different." The alien students' room was on the top floor of the International Student Building. It had been specially prepared for their needs, with gravity adjusters and air filters just in case. But after their first few hours on Earth, they weren't sure they needed these safety measures anymore. From their window, they could see the whole campus. Students walked between buildings carrying bags full of books. Some played games on large green fields. Others sat under trees, talking and laughing. "Maybe we were wrong about Earth," Jae-ho said, watching a group of human students playing a game with a round ball. "It doesn't look like a Deathworld at all." "That's what worries me," Ta-won replied, his cultural training making him cautious. "If it's not the planet that makes Earth a Class 12 Deathworld, then what does?" Sumi was already setting up her research equipment. "We'll find out soon enough. This is just our first day. Earth must have secrets we haven't seen yet." As night fell over Seoul, the three alien students prepared for their first sleep cycle on Earth. The city lights sparkled below their window, beautiful and mysterious. They had come expecting constant danger, and instead found peace and quiet. But Professor Hae-jin's warning echoed in their minds. Never underestimate Earth. It's not called a death world without reason. Tomorrow, they would begin their research, and maybe then they would understand why Earth had earned its dangerous reputation. None of them knew that their first real test would come sooner than they expected, and it would change everything they thought they knew about Earth and its people. 1 week into their stay at Seoul National University, Jae-ho was writing notes about human biology in the campus library. Sumi analyzed weather patterns in the research lab, and Ta-won observed human interactions in the campus cafeteria. Everything seemed normal until the sky suddenly turned dark. Jae-ho looked up from his books when he heard human students moving toward the windows. Dark clouds covered the sun, making the day look like night. His antenna detected a change in air pressure, and his environmental sensors started showing warning signals. "Storm approaching," his device beeped softly. "Recommend immediate shelter." Through his communicator, he heard Sumi's excited voice. "Are you seeing this? The atmospheric pressure is dropping rapidly. These conditions would be fatal on our home planets. Before anyone could respond, the first drops of water fell from the sky. The rain started slowly, then became stronger within minutes. Lightning flashed across the sky, followed by loud thunder that made the alien students jump. Emergency protocol activated. Taiwan transmitted from the cafeteria. We should return to our protected dormitory immediately. But something strange was happening. The human students weren't running for safety. They simply opened things called umbrellas or put on rain jackets. Some even continued sitting outside under covered areas, watching the storm while drinking hot beverages. Professor Kim found the 3 alien students huddled in a corner of the library, their emergency beacons activated. "Is everything all right?" he asked, looking concerned but not alarmed. "Professor, we must evacuate," Ji-ho said urgently. "These weather conditions are extremely dangerous. The water falling from the sky could be acidic. The electrical discharges could destroy buildings." Professor Kim smiled gently. "This is just a normal autumn rainstorm. The rain is pure water, completely safe. The lightning might look scary, but our buildings have protection systems. This happens all the time on Earth." The alien students watched in amazement as humans walked through the rain, some even laughing as they got wet. Children jumped in small pools of water that formed on the ground, something they called puddles. Suma's scientific curiosity overcame her fear. She carefully extended her hand outside the library's entrance, letting raindrops fall on her silver skin. Her sensors analyzed the water instantly. "It's just H2O, she reported, sounding surprised. "Pure water, no acid, no toxins, and it's not even hot enough to burn." Taiwan started taking notes rapidly. Humans don't just survive these storms. They've adapted to use them. "Look, they have special clothing, tools, and buildings designed for this weather." Ji-ho noticed something else interesting. The plants seem to be responding positively to the water. Their color becomes more vibrant. This storm isn't destroying life, it's helping it grow. For the next hour, they watched the rainstorm with growing fascination. The thunder became less frightening. The lightning looked beautiful against the dark sky. They began to understand why humans didn't fear this weather. Professor Kim brought them hot drinks called tea and explained how Earth's water cycle worked. He showed them weather forecasts on his phone and explained how humans planned their activities around different weather conditions. "On Earth," he said, "weather isn't our enemy. It's just part of life. Sometimes it's sunny, sometimes it rains, sometimes it snows. We've learned to live with all of it." That evening, as the storm cleared and a rainbow appeared in the sky, the 3 alien students made an important entry in their research logs. Earth's weather, while extreme by galactic standards, is essential for life here. Humans haven't just survived these conditions, they've thrived in them. Perhaps this is the first clue to understanding why Earth is different from other worlds. Little did they know, this rainstorm was just the beginning of their discoveries about Earth's unique challenges and humanity's remarkable adaptations. Sumai stood at the edge of the university's sports field, her silver skin reflecting the morning sunlight. She watched in disbelief as human students ran around the track over and over again. According to her instruments, they had been running for 30 minutes straight. "This must be some kind of endurance test," she said to Ji-ho and Taiwan, who stood beside her. "Perhaps they're training for survival situations." Professor Kim, who was watching with them, shook his head. "No, this is just the regular morning exercise club. Many humans run for fun and health." The alien students checked their translators, thinking they had misheard. The concept of voluntary physical strain seemed impossible to them. On their homeworlds, creatures only used energy when necessary. A young woman jogged past them, smiled, and waved. Suma's sensors indicated the human's heart rate was elevated. She was sweating, and her muscles were under stress. Yet she appeared to be enjoying herself. "I need to study this closer," Ji-ho said, his antenna twitching with excitement. He walked to the weight training area where humans were lifting heavy metal objects repeatedly. One student was lifting a barbell that weighed more than Jaiho's entire body mass. The human's muscles strained, but he completed his exercise and put the weights down carefully. Then, to the alien's surprise, he rested for a minute and did it again. "Excuse me," Ta-One asked the student politely. "Why do you put your body through this stress?" The student wiped sweat from his face with a towel. "To get stronger," he replied simply. "It's good for your health. Plus, it feels great after you finish a good workout." Later that day, they witnessed something even more shocking. During a basketball game, a human player fell hard on the court. The alien students rushed to help, expecting serious injury. But the player just stood up, brushed himself off, and continued playing. "Their bone density is remarkable," Jaiho noted, checking his scanner. "And their ability to heal from minor injuries is unprecedented. What would cripple other species is just a minor inconvenience to humans." In the gymnasium, they observed a martial arts class. Humans were deliberately practicing ways to fall safely and get back up quickly. They were learning to use their planet's high gravity to their advantage. "Look at this data," Sumai said, showing her pad to the others. "Humans regularly expose themselves to physical stress, which makes their bodies stronger. They don't just survive Earth's gravity, they use it to become more resilient." Professor Kim took them to the university's medical center. There they learned about human healing abilities. Broken bones could mend. Torn muscles could repair themselves. Even damaged skin could grow back. Most species would need immediate medical evacuation for injuries that humans consider minor, Ta-One observed. Their bodies are constantly ready for damage and repair. That evening, as they compiled their research, they made an important discovery. Humans weren't just adapted to Earth's harsh conditions, they actively sought out physical challenges to become stronger. "Think about it," Jaiho said as he wrote in his research log. "Humans climb mountains for fun. They swim in vast bodies of water. They run long distances as a hobby. What other species would do these things voluntarily?" Sumai added her own notes. "Earth's high gravity and challenging environment haven't limited humans. Instead, these conditions have made them into one of the most physically resilient species in the galaxy." Professor Kim found them still working late that night. He brought them energy drinks, another uniquely human invention. "Tomorrow," he said with a smile, "I'll show you something even more interesting. The university's dance club." The alien students looked at each other in confusion. Surely humans didn't use their remarkable physical abilities just for entertainment. But they were learning that with humans, anything was possible. Ta-One stood in the university cafeteria, watching humans eat their lunch with growing amazement. His research into human eating habits had revealed something extraordinary. Humans didn't just eat for survival, they ate things that should have been poisonous, and they did it for pleasure. Professor Kim had invited the 3 alien students to try human food. After their medical scans confirmed it would be safe, they sat at a table with various Korean dishes spread before them. "This is kimchi," Professor Kim explained, pointing to fermented vegetables. "We let bacteria grow on the vegetables to change their taste and preserve them." "You deliberately eat food with bacteria?" Jaiho asked, his antenna moving in shock. On his world, bacteria in food meant certain death. "The bacteria are good for us," Professor Kim said. "They help our digestion. Many of our traditional foods use fermentation." Sumai scanned the kimchi with her instruments. "The acid levels would dissolve metal on my planet," she said. "Yet humans eat this regularly." They watched as human students around them ate various foods. Some were drinking coffee, which contained caffeine, a substance that would paralyze most alien species. Others were eating spicy dishes that contained capsaicin, a chemical that caused a burning sensation. "Let me understand this correctly," Ta-One said, taking careful notes. "Humans deliberately eat things that cause pain, just because they enjoy the sensation." A student at the next table was eating something called extra spicy ramen. Her face was red, and she was sweating, but she looked happy. The alien student's sensors detected heat and chemical warnings from several meters away. Professor Kim encouraged them to try some mild foods first. They cautiously tasted rice, which seemed safe enough. Then they tried small pieces of cooked vegetables. To their surprise, the flavors were pleasant. Humans can taste thousands of different chemical compounds, Jai-ho noted, analyzing the data. Their digestive systems can process an incredible variety of materials. Even substances that would be toxic to other species provide them with nutrients. Su-mi made another fascinating discovery. "Look at this," she said, showing her datapad. "Humans can eat plants and animals from almost any environment on Earth. They've adapted to digest food from every continent." They learned about human cooking methods next. Humans used high temperatures to change their food's chemical structure. They combined ingredients that shouldn't work together. They preserved food through smoking, drying, and freezing. "Most species can only eat things from their specific environment," Taiwan said. "But humans can eat almost anything if they prepare it correctly. They've even learned to make poisonous plants safe to eat." Later that day, they visited a local food market. The variety was overwhelming. Sweet foods, sour foods, bitter foods, spicy foods. Humans had developed countless ways to prepare and combine ingredients. "This explains so much about human survival," Jai-ho said, as he documented everything. "When other species would starve, humans find a way to eat what's available. They don't just survive, they turn survival into an art form." Professor Kim smiled as he bought them ice cream, frozen sweet cream that humans ate for pleasure. "Tomorrow," he said, "we'll visit a cooking class. You'll see how we transform simple ingredients into something special." As they walked back to campus, the alien students realized they had discovered another key to humanity's success. Humans hadn't just overcome their planet's challenges, they had learned to enjoy them. "Maybe that's the real secret," Su-mi said thoughtfully. "Humans don't just endure difficult things. They find ways to make those difficulties into something positive." None of them realized that this insight would become central to their research about Earth's classification as a death world. The truth was becoming clearer. Humans were dangerous not because they were aggressive, but because they were adaptable beyond anything the galaxy had seen before. The ground started shaking during a normal afternoon lecture. At first, it was gentle, like a slight vibration. Then the movement became stronger. Books fell from shelves, and windows rattled in their frames. Jai-ho, Su-mi, and Taiwan immediately activated their emergency protocols. Their training had prepared them for many dangers, but they never expected the planet itself to move beneath their feet. "Earthquake," someone shouted. The alien students expected panic and chaos to follow. Instead, they watched in amazement as their human classmates calmly followed practiced procedures. Students moved under their desks or into doorways. Professor Kim guided everyone with clear, calm instructions. No one screamed. No one ran blindly. The humans acted as if they had done this many times before. "This is a moderate earthquake," Professor Kim announced, checking his phone. "About magnitude 5.0. The emergency response system is already active." The shaking continued for 45 seconds. To the alien students, it felt like hours. Their sensors reported dangerous stress levels on the building's structure, yet the humans remained surprisingly composed. When the earthquake stopped, everyone followed evacuation procedures. Students helped each other down the stairs. They gathered at designated meeting points outside. Emergency workers arrived within minutes to check for any damage. "I don't understand," Su-mi said, her silver skin reflecting the emergency lights. "Why isn't everyone panicking? The ground itself just tried to kill us." They watched as humans set up emergency stations around campus. Some distributed water and supplies. Others checked buildings for damage. Medical teams stood ready to help anyone who needed care. "This is remarkable," Taiwan noted, recording everything on his datapad. "Humans don't just survive disasters. They prepare for them. They have systems and plans ready. Professor Kim showed them the Earthquake Response Center. Screens displayed information about the earthquake's strength and location. Teams coordinated rescue efforts across the city. Everything worked smoothly, like a well-practiced dance. We can't stop earthquakes, Professor Kim explained, but we can prepare for them. Our buildings are designed to withstand shaking. We have emergency supplies ready. Everyone knows what to do. The alien students learned that Seoul had special building codes for earthquakes. Every structure was built to bend and sway without breaking. Underground sensors monitored Earth's movements. Warning systems could alert people seconds before an earthquake struck. Look at how they help each other, Jae-ho observed. Humans were sharing food and water. Students offered their phones to others who needed to contact family. Some people were even making jokes to help others feel better. Later that evening, as aftershocks continued, the alien students made important observations in their research logs. They had witnessed something unprecedented. An entire species that treated natural disasters as a normal part of life. Other species would abandon a planet that shakes itself apart. Sumai wrote, humans built their cities stronger instead. They don't fight against nature, Taiwan added. They learn from each disaster and adapt. They prepare for the next one. Professor Kim found them still working in their dormitory. The building swayed slightly with another aftershock, but none of them felt afraid anymore. Now you understand a little more about Earth, he said. It's not just about surviving dangers. It's about learning to live with them, to help each other through them, and to become stronger because of them. The alien students nodded, beginning to understand. Earth wasn't just a death world because it was dangerous. It was a death world because it had created a species that refused to be defeated by anything, even the planet itself. The Grand Lecture Hall of the Galactic University of Sciences was filled to capacity. Scientists, professors, and students from hundreds of worlds had come to hear the presentation. Jae-ho, Sumai, and Taiwan stood backstage, reviewing their research one final time. Professor Hei-jin approached them, his blue scales shimmering with pride. Are you ready? He asked. The whole galaxy wants to hear about your discoveries on Earth. The three students nodded. After 6 months on Earth, they had returned with findings that would change how the galaxy viewed humans forever. As they walked onto the stage, the audience fell silent. Sumai spoke first, her silver skin gleaming under the lights. We went to Earth expecting to study survival on a death world, she began. Instead, we discovered something extraordinary, a species that has turned deadly conditions into advantages. The large screen behind them showed images from their research. Jae-ho stepped forward, his antenna moving confidently as he explained their first discovery. Earth's weather can change rapidly, he said. Storms bring lightning that could power a city. Winds can destroy buildings, but humans don't hide from these conditions. They harness wind for energy. They use rain to grow food. They have turned their planet's deadly forces into resources. Murmurs spread through the audience. Taiwan presented their findings about human physical adaptations. He showed videos of athletes, construction workers, and dancers. Humans live in Earth's crushing gravity without effort, he explained. They deliberately stress their bodies to become stronger. What would kill other species makes humans more resilient. Sumai presented their research on human food habits. The audience gasped when they saw humans eating spicy foods and drinking coffee. Some scientists took rapid notes when she explained how humans could digest foods that would be poisonous to most species. But our most important discovery wasn't about physical adaptations, Jae-ho continued. It was about human behavior during disasters. They showed footage from the earthquake in Seoul. The audience watched in amazement as humans calmly helped each other, followed safety procedures, and continued their lives despite the danger. Humans don't just survive disasters, Taiwan explained. They prepare for them. They learn from them. They build stronger communities because of them. This is what makes Earth truly unique. Sumai presented their final conclusion. We believe Earth should not be classified as a death world because it is dangerous. It should be classified as a Deathworld because it created humans, a species that turns deadly conditions into opportunities for growth. The presentation ended with images of daily life on Earth. Children playing in parks, students studying in libraries, families sharing meals together. Normal scenes that seemed impossible on a planet classified as deadly. Earth's harsh conditions didn't limit humanity, Jai-Ho concluded. They forced humans to become adaptable. This adaptability makes them one of the most remarkable species in the galaxy. When they finished speaking, the hall was silent for a moment. Then the audience erupted in applause. Scientists rushed forward with questions. Other universities wanted to start their own Earth research programs. Professor He-Jin joined them on stage, beaming with pride. "You've done more than just study Earth," he said. "You've helped us understand that what we call deadly, humans call home. Perhaps we all have something to learn from them." As the three students answered questions from excited scientists, they realized their research would change more than just Earth's classification. It would change how the galaxy viewed human potential, and perhaps help other species learn to face their own challenges with similar courage and adaptability. 1 year after their presentation, Jai-Ho, Su-mai, and Ta-Wan sat in the grand chamber of the Galactic Science Council. The massive room was filled with representatives from every known spacefaring civilization. Today, they would vote on a proposal to change Earth's classification. Professor He-Jin stood at the podium, presenting the final results of their research. The data from their Earth study had inspired hundreds of new research projects. Scientists across the galaxy now looked at Earth and humans in a completely different way. Based on all evidence, Professor He-Jin announced, "We propose that Earth be reclassified. It is not simply a Class 12 death world. It is a crucible world, a planet that creates stronger species through its challenges." The council members reviewed the extensive research on their data screens. The evidence was clear. Earth's harsh conditions had not limited human development. Instead, these challenges had pushed humans to become extraordinarily adaptable. Su-mai presented new data from recent studies. "Other species are now learning from human adaptation strategies," she explained. 3 worlds have already used Earth's earthquake-resistant building designs. 5 species have started practicing human-style physical exercise. Taiwan showed how human problem-solving methods were being taught in universities across the galaxy. "Humans don't just survive problems," he said. "They find new ways to solve them. This approach is valuable for all species." Jai-Ho presented the most surprising discovery. Some species are now deliberately exposing themselves to controlled challenges, following the human model. They are becoming stronger by choice, just as humans do. The council leaders asked careful questions. They wanted to be certain about this major change in classification. Earth would be the first planet ever labeled as a crucible world. "A death world tries to kill its inhabitants," Professor He-Jin explained. "A crucible world makes its inhabitants stronger. Earth has been doing this with humans for thousands of years." The council voted. The decision was unanimous. Earth would receive its new classification immediately. But the change meant more than just a new label. The new classification opened doors for more research on Earth. Universities across the galaxy started exchange programs with Earth schools. Scientists began studying how Earth's challenges could help other species grow stronger. Professor Kim sent a message from Seoul National University congratulating his former students. The university was now hosting students from 50 different worlds. Each one came to learn how humans turn challenges into opportunities. 1 month later, Jai-Ho, Su-mai, and Ta-Wan received the highest honor in galactic science, the Universal Progress Medal. But they were more proud of something else. Their research had helped the galaxy understand that facing difficulties could make species stronger. "Humans taught us something important," Su-mai said in their acceptance speech. "The greatest danger is not in facing challenges. It is in avoiding them and never growing stronger." As they left the ceremony, they saw a group of young alien students preparing for their first trip to Earth. The students looked nervous but excited, just as they had been 1 year ago. They're not just going to study humans anymore, Jaiho observed. They're going to learn how to become more adaptable themselves. The three friends smiled, knowing their discovery would help shape the future of the galaxy. Earth was no longer seen as a deadly trap to avoid. It had become a teacher, showing all species that they could become stronger than they ever imagined possible.